Welcome to AmityCast. My name is Ellis.
Matthew.
And today's going to be a fun one. We're going to be talking about what are, in our opinion, some of the worst installments in popular horror franchises.
Yeah. That's the plan.
I think this is how every intro goes. I bring it up and then you just say, yeah. Then laugh for no reason.
That's a podcast. Do you like horror movies?
Horror films, that's my favorite genre. I grew up on horror films. I'm a big fan of a lot of them.
Did you watch them at your mom's house?
No, I watched them at the library, actually.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Really? They had TVs in the library?
Yeah, there was a TV with a DVD player. And I would used to walk up there and I would play the DVDs all the time and I would read books, and that's where I learned a lot of stuff in my youth about popular culture and such. And that's where I got attached.
You're not like our friend who watches the fifth Leprechaun film and is like, wait, there's 4?
Yeah, we know somebody the other day was like, oh, Leprechaun, when he's in the hood, it's like, that's the 5th film of the franchise. And she was like, are you serious? Because you can't forget Leprechaun, and of course Leprechaun 2, and Leprechaun 3, the one where he goes to Vegas, and of course Leprechaun 4 in space.
Yeah. Watches Jaws 3. Wait, there's 2 more.
Is there 2 more?
Before Jaws 3, yeah.
Yeah.
There is the Jaws 3 subtitle.
Jaws 3D is the name of the third one.
Yeah! That one sucked. That's one of them.
Jaws 2 was like a whatever, it didn't need to exist, and Jaws 3D was awful, and Jaws 4 The Revenge is going to be on the list. So,
it's solid.
Should we start with Halloween, the Halloween franchise?
Yeah, sure.
Because we can talk about the notoriously beloved Halloween Resurrection from 2002, I'm pretty sure.
Would you consider that to be the worst in that series?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few bad films down the stretch in the Halloween franchise. I think Curse of Michael Myers is pretty bad.
Yeah, well, I hate Resurrection, but I can still watch it and have some fun. Halloween 5, I cannot do that.
Halloween 5 is very bad.
It's very bad. Without the only good thing that one is Donald Pleasance, really.
Yeah. And even then he's going crazy, so
yeah, he's kind of just becoming insane.
I mean, Resurrection is pretty awful. I don't know which one is the actual worst, because there's a lot of bad at the bottom of the Halloween franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, the original Halloween is such a classic, one of the greatest horror films ever made, and the original sequel is fine. It's just whatever. And then 3 was supposed to be what they were trying to do with the Halloween franchise, just have a bunch of different stories instead of the continuing Michael Myers storyline, but
an anthology.
Yeah, like an anthology.
Yeah, the 4th one was originally supposed to be a ghost story.
Yeah, but then they still called 3 Halloween 3 instead.
That was pretty dumb.
Yeah, they should have just been Halloween Season of the Witch if that's what they were doing. But it was Halloween 3. So then Halloween 4 came around and it was The Return of Michael Myers, right? Is that the title?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fine. I don't love it.
Is widely loved among Halloween fans for some reason.
Even though it's not that great.
Even though it's fine. And the Halloween 5 was awful, and then Curse was awful.
Better, I guess, but awful.
Probably a step up from Halloween 5, at least in my opinion. And then
H2O was decent.
H2O was fine. It was just whatever. I mean, I'm okay with it for sure as a Halloween fan.
It was better than basically everything since 2.
Yeah. And then Resurrection was okay. Lead bad.
And then
Rob
terrible. Zombie's films were its own thing.
Yeah, Rob Zombie, I
appreciate that he did something different, but it wasn't that good.
Yeah, doesn't mean the execution was actually fantastic per se. And then obviously 2018 was a strong return to form, I think.
Yeah, I loved it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah. Going into it, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I
it's
actually...
a 40 years thing. Would they still even be able to pull off, a random guy in a mask killing people?
Yeah, and I think they actually did a pretty good job with it. I think
probably save more of that talk for the actual Halloween episode.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, but Resurrection itself, horrible mask. I know a lot of people like the mask. It's fine, but it looks like it's almost wearing makeup.
Yeah.
And then the characters are god awful, and then the beginning's horrible with killing off Laurie Strode after the whole H2O was about her overcoming Michael. Let's not even mention how it destroys the ending of that film, which was a great ending, one of the best endings of that whole series.
Yeah,
and
it was fantastic.
Yeah, like if the whole third act of that H2O was like really good, and then Resurrection just destroys like that whole third act. And then the actual story, like this haunted house, like found footage, like movie is really dumb. And then Michael Myers himself is really portrayed negatively.
Yeah.
Because it's just, this movie is just like, oh, he's just this grouchy guy in his house and he's going to kill these random teenagers in his house. And it's just like Busta Rhymes is here.
I was going to say, but Busta Rhymes, so many stupid decisions. Busta Rhymes is like a karate master or whatever.
The fact that they even considered leaving this film on an open note to do like a Halloween 9 is atrocious.
Yeah.
And I've heard some YouTubers say that they want a sequel to Resurrection. I do not know how they are allowed to have an opinion. And they're like, I hate 2018. We should have got Halloween 9.
I absolutely despise Halloween Resurrection. I think that
like I said, I can watch it like laugh at how absolutely god awful it is, but like as like knowing that this is like actually like John Carpenter's like original character and storyline is just, and that like it led to this, is atrocious.
It's upsetting.
Which I'm glad that it's not there anymore. But like if I was like around when this movie came out, I would have been utterly depressed.
Yeah, that is just, it's awful, especially with as great a creation as that original film was and what it like led to. And that's another, like Halloween 5 is also in that boat because like it's so goofy and stupid and so many terrible decisions, and like this doesn't deserve the right to be a sequel to that film. It just doesn't. It's that bad.
Even like Halloween 2 even.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like that with a lot of the later films, and like a lot of us franchises will probably discuss on here. It's like once a franchise goes on too long, you're gonna explain too much and run out of ideas to the point where it's whatever.
Except for Saw, every single film in the Saw franchise is necessary, except for Saw 3D.
I think the only thing about Saw that I've heard is good is because like there's usually like a few people in each film that have been around since the beginning, so like there's at least somewhat of a consistent story.
Yeah, the Halloween franchise just goes on a terrible
because like John Carpenter left after the third one, and then he came back for 2018.
Yeah, which, how was he involved in 2018 again? He wasn't.
He did the music. I know he executive produced.
He was an executive producer and composer.
Before they even made the film, they brought the script to him to okay everything, and he actually enjoyed the script a lot, so he approved of it.
There you go. See, that's how you know that it's definitely going to be something special, because Carpenter's just that good. So
yeah, I don't know if he actually loves the film or not. He probably is fine with it, but
yeah,
he at least thought that the script was the best that he's seen since probably the original. Because I don't even think he likes Halloween 2, because he wrote that while he was drunk. He never wanted to make a sequel.
Right. I mean,
he never wanted it to be a franchise.
Right.
And when it was forced to be a franchise, he wanted to do the anthology thing.
Right.
And then when they did 4, he was just like, fine, I'm done.
He loved the idea of the anthology thing because he liked it could be something fresh every time, and it's
every
not
year, yeah.
And it's not just carrying back into that same story, and it doesn't drag it down and make it.
They really should have just called it like Halloween Season of the Witch, or just Season of the Witch. It should not have had Halloween 3 on it, because that is false advertising.
Right, because it's completely separate. And then
like they have Halloween as a film in that film.
Right.
It's really weird.
And then there was just all that mass demand because everybody was like, "Oh, we want Michael Myers back. We just got 2 Michael Myers movies. We want more," you know. And then Halloween 4.
Thing.
I think that might be why Halloween 4 is like widely like kind of beloved by Halloween fans.
Yeah, it's also an 80s movie.
Yeah.
80s horror is really popular. And the young girl in it, Danielle Harris, is a really loved actress in
right.
the community. She was even in the Rob Zombie films. And I think, because I know Halloween 2018 had several different scripts, and some of the scripts were actually continue on from like the Thorn trilogy or Resurrection. There was actual like different treatments. So I think even at one point, Danielle Harris would have been considered for the new films.
Yeah.
She might even be in a cameo, who knows?
Right.
In these next 2 coming out, but that'd be cool. But
that would be cool. But we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, Resurrection.
Awful.
Or Halloween 5, they're both awful. I think either of them could be like...
They're definitely the 2 worst.
No, the 2 worst. I think that like...
I know Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is really criticized. I haven't seen it yet, but...
Yeah. I mean, like, Curse Michael Myers, Zombies Halloween 2, they're both like also like down in that boat, but like I don't think it's on the same like level of just pure awful that that Halloween 5 and Resurrection are. But I mean, if we're staying,
they were both rushed.
They were both extremely rushed. And
that tarnished the film they were following up on. But yeah.
Overall, those are pretty good.
Shut up.
But I mean, if we're staying within the world of slashers, one of the most popular slashers,
Nightmare on Elm Street.
And Nightmare on Elm Street. Now that one's a bit more controversial because like, which one's actually the worst? Because
5 and 6 definitely.
Yeah, 5 and 6. I think
I don't like 4 either.
4 is bad, but I don't think it's as bad as 5 and 6.
I know a lot of people love 4 for some reason because it takes a comedic approach, but like I like Freddy to be not full on comedic.
Right. I mean,
like that whole ninja scene is so dumb.
It's oh my god.
The cockroach scene is like decent, like execution, but then like Freddy just turns into the whole comedy thing. Super Freddy's awful. The fucking power glove Freddy's awful. How they kill Freddy and Freddy's Dead is awful. How they explain what Freddy is awful. Surprise child. The only good line from Freddy's Dead is like that part where he's like, every town has an Elm Street. That's actually a really good line. I really like that line.
Yeah.
But like otherwise it's awful.
I mean,
even the makeup is awful in that film. It looks like he's wearing a mask.
It looks terrible. Like, I don't... Dream Child...
Even the remake is better than those.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the remake is also a pretty...
At least it's like actually horror.
But yeah, at least like it actually tried to be like a horror film. Dream Child and Freddy's Dead are like on another level of terrible for me. Like they extend past the terribleness of like the Halloween films we talked about because like they're absolutely atrocious. The Dream Child, like I remember watching it and just being traumatized by how awful what I just saw was.
The only good scene in that one was that motorcycle scene because that was like played completely serious.
Yeah, that was like okay. Like I'm fine like with like the comedic approach with the character because this stuff is ridiculous. It's okay to have like a little bit of like comedic relief in there because yeah, like a dream like guy with finger knives. Okay, yeah, that's crazy.
But like in like the first 3 and then like New Nightmare, they played it much better with comedic, but also like you know like, he's playing with you type stuff.
But like it's still serious and it actually makes it scary, which is what horror is supposed to be in essence.
Yeah, the only time comedic Freddy really worked for me was like Freddy versus Jason. Because that was, like, inherently comedic.
Yeah, because that was just supposed to be...
That was, like, the 11th Friday the 13th movie. And, like,
yeah.
And this is, like, that was, like, the 8th Freddy movie. Like, they weren't taking themselves seriously anymore.
Right, it was just for fun, which is totally fine.
I don't like that movie as a movie at all.
No, it's pretty bad.
It's fun.
It's still fun. And, like, at least you actually get, like, the Freddy versus Jason fight.
Yeah.
There was actually fighting in it, which is cool. With 5 and 6, it's just... They just completely take a crap on everything that franchise is.
Yeah, I don't really love part 2 either. I really only like 1, 3, and 7, like genuinely.
Yeah,
the ones that Wes Craven's actually involved in.
I definitely love the first one. It's a classic of horror, and New Nightmare I think is also pretty good.
A lot of fans overly hates New Nightmare. I don't really know why.
I think it's the second best of the franchise. It's pretty good.
It's definitely up there.
Yeah, and then Dream Warriors is just like is also fun. I think it's a bit overrated overall, but like it's still like definitely a far improvement over.
Controversial opinion on that one.
I know.
Yeah.
That's because the movie itself is like not as good as people make it out to be. It's just fun, so people think it's fantastic, but you know, it's because they did a good job having fun with the concept.
It's really weird with that movie because like it really sets it up as like the kids could actually actively fight back and be like dream warriors.
Yeah. It
wasn't really fully developed that idea in the movie.
Right.
But then, like, in 4 or 5 and, like, so on, they never, like, expand on that. And it's just, like, they never, like, build up anything. It's just the same thing each time.
Right, with this later sequel, they just keep kind of resetting it. And
yeah, it's another thing that annoys me about part 4 is that they just kill off all the characters from 3.
Yeah.
And just bring in these more boring characters. It's just the characters get progressively worse to follow each movie.
Right.
And by the time you're at part 6, it's just like, oh, wow, he's going to kill him with a chalkboard.
It's just so stupid. It's just hard to watch 5 and 6 because they're just so...
Like, the whole plot of the 5th one is, like, he's just trying to impregnate a child.
Yeah, like, what... Like, why? What is that?
And they're like, oh, yeah, Freddy's mom got raped by 80 men. Like, okay, still, he should just have one father. Like, this makes no sense.
Why did any of this have to be involved? It didn't have to be. It just is stupid. I hate Dream Child. I hate Freddy's Dead. They're horrible movies. They shouldn't exist. Dream Master also shouldn't exist. They should have stopped at Dream Warriors. That should have just been the sequel. It should have just been the first and second. And we didn't need anything else. This is the problem with so many horror franchises. They just keep going for no reason. It's not like they're going to make that much money.
I did in the 80s.
Like, don't even get me started. Okay, Friday the 13th franchise is an absolute joke to me.
Well, we can go to that one next. I've only seen the first 6, and then I've seen Freddy vs. Jason.
The first one is okay. It's fine.
It's like it's really good atmospheric wise, and
It is.
the Jason's mom's character is like interesting.
Yeah.
But the actual characters, like I know, like you don't watch them for the actual characters, you watch them for like the kills and Jason and whatnot. But like they're awful.
Right. Outside of that, the first one is just kind of it. It has a couple cool things that leaves a lot to be desired.
They should have stopped at like the first 4.
Yeah.
And like I really like part 6, but like it should have just stopped at 4.
Because the second one is not that good.
And third one's fine.
The third one is okay, but the fourth one is pretty fun. I know people like it for like the kills and everything.
And the fourth one's actually like, yeah, decent, and like Jason's actually pretty brutal in it.
Right.
And then part 5 is like it's an interesting concept, but they just don't execute it well at all.
Yeah.
And then part 6 was really just a comedic horror, and it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, I think 6 overall is actually one of the better ones, just because like
I don't know,
it can be enjoyable.
I know like pretty much the worst ones in the franchise are like 8 through 10.
Well, I mean, then you get 7, which is pretty bad, and then 8, which is like Jason's on a boat. Like, what was the point of that?
Clearly running out of ideas.
Yeah, like it seems pretty ridiculous, and it was just not that good. But then we get freaking Jason Goes to Hell, and I absolutely despise Jason Goes to Hell.
I have not watched it, but I know like what happens mostly in it.
I hate that movie.
Jason waffles because a serial killer died.
It's completely off the rails. There's horrible acting,
It's
horrible
also,
writing. None of it makes any sense.
They decided to make the final film in the franchise and have a first-time director come on.
Yeah.
And a new studio just got the rights, so they said, "Hey, we just got the rights. Let's make the final Friday." It's so dumb.
That's
and then
so
Jason
stupid.
X.
Jason X is at least fun.
But it's so dumb.
It's extremely stupid, but I don't think it's worse than Final Friday, because Jason Goes to Hell is that awful.
I know the remake's pretty decent, at least remake standards.
Yeah, but as far as horror remakes go, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better than the... I know out of like the big 3, it's probably like the best remake.
Yeah.
Out of Nightmare and Halloween.
Right, it's definitely better than... I'd say it's better than Rob Zombie's Halloween, and it's way better than the Nightmare remake, so...
Even, yeah, the Nightmare remake too, they brought on a music video producer to direct a remake of a classic from Wes Craven. What are you doing? Just bring Wes Craven back on or something. I don't care.
It's so awful. And
like literally, Rob Zombie hated the original Halloween, and John Carpenter said he hated Rob Zombie's ideas. Why would you make it then?
Yeah, it's so stupid.
What are these decisions?
You gotta find people who actually care about a project to make it good. You can't just cash in for money. Like, no.
And then Chucky. What's the worst movie of that series to you?
Seed of Chucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the first 3.
The remake is terrible. But
The first 2 Child's Plays were good. Just stop there.
Yeah.
And the third one
3 was unnecessary.
Third one was fine, I guess. There was like a few good scenes.
It was the same thing again for no reason.
And I know a lot of people like Bride for some reason, but from what I've seen, it looks really fucking bad.
Bride was terrible, but at least it was kind of funny. Then they have Seed of Chucky, which the jokes go way off the rails. They don't land, and it just makes it a stupid comedy film that was once a classic horror film. It's awful.
I know Curse is like pretty well liked.
Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky are actually pretty good. A pretty strong reboot.
Yeah, but then like they just stopped, and now they're doing a remake.
They did a remake, which was the first time they ever left the same continuity of the Chucky franchise, which is super frustrating, especially for like a concept that was okay and it works in the modern world, but it was executed poorly and they made a horrible film. That's why it might be worse than Seed of Chucky, the remake. It's really bad and it kind of ruins like everything that the franchise has been setting up. Especially since I would love a conclusion to the Curse and Cult of Chucky trilogy. That'd be awesome.
Well, I guess we're getting a TV show instead.
I guess.
Which is dumb, because they could just done an 8th movie and ended it there. But the only thing that excited me about the remake was that Mark Hamill is doing the voice.
Yeah, that was cool.
And that like it was going to be more technology-based, but like from what I've seen, it just looks kind of dumb.
It was...
It could have been really well executed. But...
It could have been well executed, but it just... The way it fit in, it just didn't really need to be made, and it wasn't made as well as it could have been. It has a lot of issues fundamentally throughout the film, which could be saved by the concept if executed properly, but it was not executed properly, so it didn't work out. And then Seed of Chucky is just a big pile of gross awfulness. I don't even It just makes no sense, and it just drives me insane trying to even watch it. Like, I laughed the first time because I was like, what, like 8? I don't even know, but like,
yeah,
like it's Bride of Chucky, but way worse and way less funny. So that's why I'd probably say it's the worst of that franchise.
yeah. Well, Alien.
The Alien franchise.
Alien and Aliens are absolute classics, and I love them to death. And I have a love-hate relationship with Alien 3, but Alien Resurrection is fucking awful.
Yeah. Alien is one of my top 3 favorite films of all time. It is a classic of horror. It is fantastically made, incredible.
And Aliens is one of the best sequels ever.
One of the best. It might even be the best sequel ever outside of like The Godfather Part 2. It is incredible.
Or maybe Terminator 2.
Maybe Terminator 2, yeah. But like it's up there with like the GOAT of sequels.
That's how you do a sequel.
Right, because they changed up the concept a little bit. They made it its own film while keeping the same idea.
It took an action approach.
Right, and they actually did it well. They executed it properly. They stayed true to the source material. Fantastic. Alien 3? What? I don't know. I don't even...
Alien 3 was, like, really close to being amazing because they had David Fincher as a director.
Right.
But the studio got way too involved. They did not have the right story put down. And it was really just poor. I know there's people that actually prefer it to the first two for some reason.
Yeah, which I think is...
It has some really big concepts that could have been really cool. And Alien Resurrection could have been good because it was originally supposed to be planned as a comedic film, which I don't agree with. Because I don't think Alien should have ever been comedic.
No.
It can have comedy in it, that's fine.
Yeah, right, but like the way it was set up, seeing a comedic approach to it just feels so wrong.
And like some of the concepts are interesting, I guess. I still can watch it, but it's awful. AVP films are awful. The first film's fine to watch to see like the Alien and Predator fight, but like if I want to watch AVP, I want something good.
Right.
And it's like, it's really simple. Just put it in space with Marines from Aliens and just do Aliens and then have a few Predators in it. Just literally do Aliens, the film, and have Predators in it. Just do that. But you won't do that.
They had to do some...
They're like, no, let's put it in a random town. Let's put it in Antarctica.
Some stupid concept. It's like... AVP was so terrible. At least it's not AVP Requiem, which happened.
That movie is, like, I guess better because it's more gorier. But, like, I can't see anything going on, so what's the point?
Also, the Predalien was wasted. There were so many cool things.
Amazing design. Amazing concept. Absolutely wasted.
The AVP films are just so disappointing because they could be so cool. I remember liking them as a kid because I just loved the two franchises, and it was like, oh, this would be really cool to see, like, what they actually do,
exactly.
Like, combining the two. Especially, like, with the comic strip that was super popular. That's why everybody wanted to see a movie of it.
Those were good. And then, like, for some reason, they made it PG-13. After 4 movies in, like, each franchise, they were all rated R. Oh, let's draw some kids in.
Like, what?
It's so dumb. It also breaks the franchise of Alien.
Yeah.
Because, like, Aliens are now... Because, like, then there was Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which I have a love-hate with both of those movies, but they are vastly superior to everything since Alien 3.
Right.
Like, easily. I don't know why, but, like, on the back of the Alien Covenant, like, DVD, it says, this is the best since Alien. No, it is not.
What?
Prometheus was better, and Aliens is also a thing.
Prometheus was, like, okay. I mean... I liked what they attempted, but I didn't love it.
And then they're like, hey, we had to put more Alien. Put Alien on the cover. Put Alien on the cover. Let's just completely throw away this storyline. And I don't even know what's going on anymore. I guess there's a TV show being made. I guess Disney's going to be making movies now. And it's just like, I don't know. I wanted to see the end to this prequel stuff, but we're not getting that. And I don't know what we're getting next.
Which is frustrating because Prometheus at least had some cool things.
And let's not even get started on the Alien 5 that Neil Blomkamp was going to make. And the concept art was fucking amazing. And the story sounded really interesting. And then Ridley Scott's, no, I want to do Alien Covenant, so you can't make that. And it's just like, no.
Why? Alien Covenant? I wanted a good continuation because the original is such a classic. So why? And there's so much potential for great stories. But no, we get Alien Resurrection and AVP and Alien Covenant.
Yeah, fucking Neil Blomkamp was a really big fan, and he was going to make a really good continuation from Aliens. So it's going to be a good Alien 3, and it's just like, no. You're not going to get the one thing that he asked since fucking 1992. And then The Predator from 2018, fucking horrible.
Oh my god, The Predator was one of the worst things I've seen in the past 5 years. I was excited because I thought maybe it'd be cool to see another Predator movie, but in a new light, and it'd be great to see a fun reboot to it. And no, they just shit on everything. They found everything, they shit on it.
I enjoy the first 3. I know you don't like the sequels, but like the first Predator is actually really fucking good.
The first Predator is an incredible film. It actually does a good job balancing the horror and the action. Schwarzenegger, like, he does a pretty good job. Overall, it's a fun... Great action horror film, whichever genre like reigns supreme.
And then Predator 2 and Predators, well, are not as good. They have really good story building.
Right.
They have
They do a good
pretty
job.
good concepts, but then they just shit on all of that.
The movies themselves are pretty bad, but they do a good job expanding the concept, expanding the world, and then they took the Predator and they were like, all that stupid, dumb, we're gonna make this piece of shit movie for no reason that's terrible and it's just gonna be awful and it's
And
bad.
then the director's like, I actually like AVP, so that's canon to my story.
Which makes me aggressively angry. The Predator was one of the biggest
There were
disappointments.
so... Because, like, they reshot that movie to hell.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a planned ending to have Ripley and Newt in the end. That would have made no sense.
No, that would have been so dumb. Why?
Like, there was literally cast people as lookalikes. They were this close. The studio's like, yeah, that's fine, you could do that.
No.
And I guess they might be doing another Predator that's supposed to be set in, like, Native American time, which might be cool. But, like, after the Predator, I don't care anymore.
I don't think that the Predator did anything right as a film.
I guess
especially as a Predator film.
I guess some of the effects were fine, but, like, they did Predator dogs, which were so dumb, because you had Predator dogs set up in the last movie, and they looked fine. Just do that. Why do you have to put Predator faces on them? That makes no sense. Why are they searching for an autistic child's brain? They're supposed to be intelligent. And they're like, oh yeah, they hunt the spine so they can get the DNA to be stronger. No, they're trophy. They've been set up for 30 years to just be hunters.
It's so stupid.
Why would you blend yourself with the DNA of something you killed?
It's some of the dumbest retcons that I've seen ever. And it's just extremely...
The fact that
it's upsetting.
the fact
As
that
you
the
can tell-
director of that movie was in the original and helped write that one is unbelievable. I can't imagine it. Horrible.
As you can tell, it's pretty upsetting.
We should have had face cameras with you.
Face cam, we would have... I mean, we both have veins popping, I can tell. So it's like... Horror movies make me pretty passionate.
And
And
something that I like I really love Alien Predator, but they're not getting it right anymore.
speaking of passionate horror movies, I gotta say, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the greatest films ever made, in my opinion. I think it's one of the best horror films out there.
And the most of I've seen, it's like really good. And then like they just really ran it in the ground constantly.
Yeah, so I like how they made the sequel, and it's the same guy, and I think they did an okay job. It was 12 years later, and he didn't want to make the same movie, so he made like a horror comedy. That's fine. It was okay. It was kind of funny. It was all right. It didn't really need to exist, but it was
interesting double feature type thing.
yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a third one.
It kind of expands on the family a little bit, but then it's sort of after that they went on this cycle of where the family kind of resets with every film.
That's not how franchises work.
No, yeah, so Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which stupid title, by the way. What? It's not even that much about Leatherface. And the movie itself is boring, it's frustrating, and it's bad acting, but it's okay. Because at least it's not the fourth film. Because we get the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, originally titled The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What? That makes no sense. But Leatherface looks terrible. Matthew McConaughey is making weird random noises. The acting is bad. The writing is bad. The cinematography looks terrible. Nothing is good about the movie. It had a horrible budget. It was awful. I absolutely despise that film. It might be the worst sequel that we've talked about so far. I absolutely hate The Next Generation. It is awful.
Leatherface like a woman.
Yeah, he's like basically a chick.
Transgender.
They keep calling it a him, but it looks like a woman, and it's like got makeup on, like a woman.
Then they did a remake.
And then, okay, so like they're going to drive away. Matthew McConaughey, for some reason, is just on top of the house for some reason, and he goes, "Boo-dah!" and he jumps down. It's like, what is this? This was filmed. Matthew McConaughey's lawyers actually tried to get people to like completely get rid of the film, so no one ever saw that he was in it. That's how bad it was.
Have you ever talked about it?
No, he wants to completely erase that from his existence. He wishes that never happened.
Why did he sign on?
I don't know, money maybe? I don't know. Why did they even make a third film? Why did they make any more films after the first one?
And then a remake, and then a prequel to the remake, and then a reimagining, and now they're doing another one.
They did a 2003 reboot, which I guess a lot of horror fans really like, which even though it's not like that good, I mean, it's fine, I guess. I can't really find myself liking it that much.
Yeah, I've heard it's fine.
And then they did
a prequel to it.
They did a prequel,
which I heard is also fine.
Which, I mean, it's a good job within the context of the first one, because it actually does a good job explaining and setting up a lot of things. But like prequels overall, like they have to have like a purpose other than just like, oh, we're doing this. And then Texas Chainsaw 3D was just a stupid like modern slasher. It made me.
I heard it like breaks its own lore because it takes place in like the 80s or something, and like people have smartphones.
Yeah, it does, and like also like it's weird because like the main I can't remember exactly, but the main character is supposed to be like
related to Leatherface.
Right, she's supposed to be like the daughter from the first one, but then where it takes place, it's like she is only like 20, even though she should be like 50. Like, it makes no sense. But then they had Leatherface, which was like another prequel. Why another prequel?
And now they're doing like a 40-year later one.
I hate this franchise.
But they're doing a 40-year later one, and they're bringing back the girl from the original film, but it's a different actor. It's not even the Jamie Lee Curtis thing.
I hate this franchise, but basically,
This is a good one.
The Next Generation.
That's the beginning. Let's not even begin. The Alien and Predator, the worst ones are the fourth one, where they decide to do human-alien fucking hybrids. And they bring on comedy writers. It's so dumb. They keep repeating the same mistakes.
Oh my god. So we gotta say, so far, like Halloween 5,
Resurrection 2.
The Dream Child and Freddy's Dead, Resurrection as well, as with all in Halloween 5. Then, of course, Jason Goes to Hell.
Maybe Part 8 as well.
Yeah. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation, Alien Resurrection,
And the Predator.
and The Predator are all awful films. They're all really bad.
Yeah. And the fucking It from 1990 is fucking... I haven't seen it, but like it looks so fucking bad.
It's really
like
bad.
I know a lot of people have nostalgia for it, and they'll say how good it is, but like it's not.
It's really popular because of nostalgia, but overall, it's like a miniseries formed into like a 3.5-hour movie.
It looks boring.
It's extremely boring. It's really bad. Tim Curry
It's like good.
does a okay job. His Pennywise is iconic, and like it should be. It's pretty good. I definitely would compare it to Skarsgård, because Skarsgård did incredible as Pennywise, by the way.
Yeah. I really like it, Chapter 1 and 2. Chapter 2 has problems, but
it relies a lot on child acting, which was not strong, especially like for what it was, because it wasn't an actual official like film release. It didn't really get the budget of one, so it doesn't work out with a lot of the concepts it tries to put together in execution, which is fine. But overall, it's just not a very strong effort. A lot of people think it's fantastic. It's just not that good. The 2017, it's
pretty good.
It's pretty good. I enjoyed that film. I think it was strong. I think it's a good movie that's like pretty close to being a great one. It's got like a little.
The thing is,
things
both It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 are fine on their own, but like together it's a good story. That's why it's bad, because they split up the book.
Yeah.
Which is the only way you could really do that book. It's over 1,000 pages long.
Right.
But let's get to something that I know you'll have a lot to say. Saw. What's like the worst Saw? Isn't it Saw 5?
Saw 5 is the second worst Saw film.
Saw 7.
Saw 3D, or Saw the Final Chapter, or Saw 7, whichever title you want to go with, because it has like 20 for some reason, is atrocious. Every attitude put forward in it is either aggressive towards a minority for some reason, or it just completely disrespects everything the franchise has been building up to that point. It tries to include all the twists that it's been leading up to, that were supposed to be in like an 8th or 9th film, because they were going to go through like Saw 1 through 10, I guess, originally. But because they started to do so much worse box office-wise, they're like, okay, this is going to be the final chapter. So they rushed everything into one film. All the traps are stupid. All the acting is bad. They just had a bunch of people killing people all around. It was supposed to be methodical killing in traps. That was the whole point. And you actually question the morality of it, if Jigsaw's right or not. But no, it has to be this stupid... It's all bad. It's so bad.
The only good trap that I've seen from that movie is the reverse bear trap, which is something that's set up in the first place.
The only good part was we finally saw the reverse bear trap, which was 7 films of build-up.
But the gore's horrible in that one.
But the gore looks terrible! Yeah. They didn't have a budget because they were all doing bad. There was no point to continue the Saw franchise. I love the story. I love learning about Jigsaw and all the apprentices, and I think it's interesting no matter how convoluted it is. But the way it's presented in Saw 3D is so poor, so awful. It makes me violently angry. I strongly dislike it. It is definitely the worst one. Saw 5 is really bad because it's boring and it just doesn't make any sense. Then Saw 6 is like, oh, it's okay. And then
Jigsaw.
Then there's Jigsaw, which is also pretty bad because like
it seems so unnecessary.
Yeah, Jigsaw was completely unnecessary. Like everything they added is just like, how does this? They're trying to force things into the story. Like Logan Nelson was completely forced, just to add some twist to it. It's ridiculous. And like we talked about Spiral, what was that, a couple weeks ago? Which that was
an improvement.
I think Spiral was an improvement on Jigsaw, and I guess like they're saying that it's more of a spin-off now because it's a copycat, and instead they're going to work on
But every single apprentice was technically a copycat too.
Yeah, that's why
it's Saw 9. It's Saw 9. No matter what you spin it.
Yeah, it's the 9th Saw.
No matter what you spiral it.
No matter how it spirals. I can't wait for Spiral 2 spirals, and Spiral 3 the spiraling, and Spiral 4 the spirals that lead to the spiraling of the spiral, and then of course Spiral 5 Resurrection.
It's just, from what I've heard, 7 is definitely the most convoluted, and it's just so dumb.
Yeah, they tried
because like they were doing so bad with like Saw 4 and 5, and then like Saw 6 was like, oh, this is slightly better. It's like Saw 7.
Right. It's like with Saw 7, they were trying to take everything that they had and like mash it together in one thing, and it was so poorly done, and like none of the tone is correct. It's just and like it's so stupid because like I don't know the exact like how exactly it goes, but like starting with Saw 5, it's like David Hackle, who was like an editor on Saw 4, directed
an editor,
and then with Saw 6, one of the co-editors was like became the director,
and the 7th one, one of the lighters.
3D was like one of the like light people. They were like, oh, you can direct because we're out of people, like. And, like, people they just stopped caring. At least all the way up through Saw 6. At least the people that were involved in every film through 4 were actually still caring about the franchise. With Saw 7, there was just no care. It was just, let's just wrap this up because, like, we have to end it somehow. And it looks terrible. It is terrible. It feels so bad. And I just hate Saw 3D. Or Saw the Final Chapter, whatever.
And then, listen, I was thinking of what to talk about next.
I mean, we could talk about Jaws the Revenge.
The Jaws franchise, so like the first one is like amazing. It's a masterpiece. I love it to death. It's like it gets better each time I watch it. Yes. That's like really hard.
Right.
And Jaws 2, like I enjoy it. It's unnecessary. It's bad in a lot of areas, but like Roy Scheider saves that film.
Right.
And some of the shark kills are decent. Jaws 3 is bad. It is fun to watch. It is horrible. The effects are awful. Everything about the film is like, why was this made? The SeaWorld concept's cool, but like it doesn't need to be a Jaws movie. Just make fucking your own shark movie. Jaws Revenge is awful. It's just awful. Above all that, it's depressing to watch because it's like a Christmas movie about a mom grieving about her dead husband and son the whole time, with Michael Caine just going like, "Oh, I can fly plane" the whole time, and it's so dumb. And like, of course, like her son, who's like died in almost 2 shark attacks, is a marine biologist. It's so stupid. And they just ignore Jaws 3. It's like, weren't you just leading SeaWorld the last movie? What happened?
And like the revenge and like the whole concept of like the shark and how isn't it not the same shark?
It's not even the same shark.
It's
like
a different.
They explain
it. It's like a shark's friend trying to go after a woman who's related to the original guy.
Wrap your head around this. Okay, so there's the novels for the Jaws films.
Yeah.
Because like Jaws was originally a novel, right. So they did a novel for Jaws 2. They skipped Jaws 3, but they did a novel for Jaws the Revenge. So there's a trilogy of Jaws books, and it's 1, 2, 4.
Okay.
They're really good, and they're really connected all together. They really... So the shark from the second book is a female, and it's the one that mated with the shark from the first book.
Okay.
So that's why it was in the same area. So I was like, okay, that's fine. That makes sense, I guess. In the end of the Jaws 2 book, I don't know if this happened in the movie, but I guess it gave birth to the children of the shark from the first book.
Okay. So
the shark from Jaws the Revenge is the child of the shark from the first book.
Okay.
But in the book, it's explained that the Brodies, I guess, had a voodoo guy that hated them in the Bahamas, so he put a curse on the family. So that's why the shark was hunting them. Which is dumb and kind of like weird, mystical stuff, but at least it makes sense. And the movie is just the shark is just following them. It's just following them.
It's like, oh, the shark is just trying to find this person, even though it's not like a shark would know who these people are. Like, actually,
it traveled from New York to the Bahamas.
Makes no sense.
They don't live in the Bahamas, and it's just like, in the books it makes sense, but like it's still weird and very convoluted, and it's just like, it's awful. This should not have been a franchise. If anything, if they had to do sequels, stop it too. Right. Just stop it too.
If there absolutely had to be, because I know it's like trying to make money.
The whole reason for the second movie is because literally the producers of Jaws said they're gonna make a sequel one day, so we might as well just do it now. And it's like, no, you should do it if you have a story. They originally were going to do a prequel about Quint on his like time on the ship that he talked about in the first one. If anything, do that and just be done with it. Be done with it.
Right. That would have been cool. And then just leave it alone. What I don't understand is like if you don't want there to be sequels, just like make sure the rights are locked up or something.
Just leave Jaws as a one-off. If it was a one-off, it'd be a great thing to see every few years in the theater. It's good as good. Don't remake it either.
Right. Jaws is such a classic film. It's one of the greatest horror films of all time. It has 3 sequels for no reason. It's stupid.
I think they even were going to do a 5th one, but then like Jaws Revenge came out. There's absolutely no budget either. The shark looks awful. Its mouth is open the whole movie. It's awful. For some reason, that prop's still like in good condition. I don't know why, because like every single Jaws prop for the first movie is destroyed. So it's just like, what? Out of any movie. I know this isn't... I'm just looking at my shelf over there and I'm seeing Terminator and I'm just like, now I'm getting pissed about Terminator because I'm thinking about Terminator. If that counts as horror.
I don't think it does, but I do want to...
The first one does.
I do... Well, yeah, I'd say it's up there. It's like in that realm.
The one of Arnold in? Oh yeah, well, 6.
But Dark Fate?
Dark Fate, Genesis, fucking awful. Third one, awful. 1 and 2 are amazing. Fourth one is
Salvation's pretty bad, but it's like whatever.
It's at least different. And then, yeah. But anyways, fucking...
Dark Fate, I think it could be considered horror because I get passionately so angry that I become violent.
There's fans of that movie and I don't know how. But, I seriously have questions. I'm not going to be upset if they like it. I'm just need to, like, really, like, lower my opinion of that individual. But anyways, the Sharktopus franchise.
No, we're not going to talk about Sharktopus.
First film classic, absolutely love it.
I gotta say though, Mega Shark vs. Gargosaurus isn't as good as Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus.
Shut up.
I don't care what anybody says. It's not as good.
It is better.
No, it isn't.
It is.
I don't care what you have to say.
The guy from fucking Family Ties is in it, or whatever.
6-headed shark attack was pointless within the realm of the story.
What other franchises did you have on your list?
That was most of the horror franchises that I had.
Deep Blue Sea 2 isn't as good as the original Deep Blue Sea, but Deep Blue Sea 3 is actually a step up.
Okay, but is that horror?
I guess. Sharknado 6 isn't as good as Sharknado 5, I'm just going to say it. I know nobody else will.
6 is the last one, right?
Yeah. The time travel one.
It's about time.
It's like they know. It's so funny. They know what's going on.
I mean, we can talk about the Psycho franchise.
First Psycho, amazing. Second one, unneeded, but from what I've heard, it's fine. Third one is bad. Fourth one is bad. The remake is... The remake makes me actively angry, because it's like all the stupid Disney remakes that they keep doing. There's like, oh, what if we make it live action? Oh, what if we do it in color? What if we do it in animation? It's like, it's not good. It's the same thing, and it's bad.
Oh, here's Vince Vaughn. Why? I don't know. One of the greatest characters in horror history, Norman Bates. Like, oh, whatever. It's just there.
He's masturbating through fucking people. That's really what you need to add to the story.
Yep. Very necessary. It's also extremely upsetting because it was stupid. And the original Psycho is such a pivotal, influential horror film, one of the greatest ever. A great job with psychological horror and doing a great job with the concept that was there. Alfred Hitchcock himself, I've heard a lot of things about him. I guess probably wasn't the best guy. Did a lot of horrible things to like the people he worked with.
Did he?
I guess, yeah. I guess like the actors that he had, like he treated them really horribly just to like.
Well, apparently Stanley Kubrick was the same on The Shining.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick, like because
specifically that movie because he wanted to make him actually go insane. Apparently he was really like verbally abusive to the girl that played, the wife.
Yeah, I keep forgetting her name, but like
Shelley something. Yeah.
She was traumatized for. I think
she stopped acting.
Right, she completely stopped acting after.
It was like that with. It wasn't because of on Aliens, the girl that played Newt. It wasn't because of like the people behind the scenes. It was just the fact that she made that movie at a young age.
Right.
Yeah. It's weird.
It just, like, acting just causes a lot of problems in, like, people like that, but...
Hey, speaking of bad directors, Jeepers Creepers?
I gotta say, Jeepers Creepers 3?
Awful.
It's terrible.
So is the second one.
So is the first one.
I know the first one's, like, known as a cult classic. I know a lot of people like that one, so... I guess your opinion's technically in the minority.
I guess, even though it's a bad movie.
I know people like the second one, too, for some reason. Even though, from what I heard, the second one has a lot of really, like, gay undertones.
It does, actually, which...
It's weird. Especially since the director's, like, a convicted pedophile and went to jail. And the first thing he did when he got out was, like, you know what, let me finally finish the trilogy.
I just realized Psycho 4, The Beginning, only came out 8 years before...
It's also a TV movie.
Yeah. Then also Bates Motel was technically a film.
I haven't watched that show, but, like, a lot of, 12-year-old girls would be like, oh, yeah, I love Bates Motel. And it's like, no, I'm talking about the movie Psycho.
Psycho 2 came out 23 years after the first one.
Yeah, it's so, like, why? It's like Critters. Why would you make 4 movies and then, like, 20 years later make Critters Attack?
Critters Attack?
Why does Trinity own that?
Is because her parents bought it for her. But it's so atrocious.
Why would they buy that of all things?
It's so bad.
I haven't watched it because I don't. I saw the trailer, it looked horrible.
The film itself, it just looks terrible throughout the entire thing, and that is enough to turn it off. Like no.
At least the first 4 have, like, this weird, like, nostalgic 90s thing.
Yeah.
And like they were all made like in the set of like 10 years, so it's like they're their own little thing. You don't need, if you're gonna do a Critters movie later on, do something good, do a remake, do something.
Right.
Critters Attack is not, don't do a sci-fi original movie. That's the last thing you should do.
Right.
That is like making fucking Gremlins 3 for the Sci-Fi Channel.
It'd be awful because I know they've been working on Gremlins like
3 for fucking 20 years.
Like,
yes.
yeah.
I love Gremlins and everything, and Gremlins 2 is fine for what it is, but like I don't need Gremlins 3 that bad.
Yeah. That's the problem with so many franchises. It just becomes stale, and they try to make it more interesting so that people will still go watch it.
You forgot about Wrong Turn.
I was trying to avoid talking about Wrong Turn.
I know 6 is the worst one, probably.
Look, here's the thing about the Wrong Turn franchise.
The first one's fine, and then the remake's decent.
The first one is fine, I guess, as far as like a weird 2000s horror film goes. Yeah, the remake Wrong Turn, which should still be called Wrong Turn: The Foundation, at least in the United States, in my opinion, is probably even better because like at least it actually tries to be like good at like psychological horror and actually being a strong horror film.
Well, it decided not to be like a cannibalistic horror movie.
Yeah,
and people were upset about that, and it's like, did you watch the first 6?
But then we get Wrong Turn 2, which is, I think, more fun than the first one, but not a better movie. Then we get Wrong Turn 3. Left 4 Dead, I'm pretty sure.
I got a good franchise to talk about.
Wrong Turn 3 is boring, and it's stupid. Then we get Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings, which is for some reason a prequel, because they were like, oh, we don't actually know the story of the original 3 cannibals from the first film. Why do we need to know the origin of
I hate
the 3
prequels.
cannibals from
Prequels
the
are
first
so dumb. Oh my god.
Prequels ruin things so often.
It's like if they like, hey, let's do a Halloween prequel about Donald Pleasance and Michael Myers. The whole point of the first film was to not explain it.
Yeah, that was the whole point. And then we get Wrong Turn 5 Bloodlines, which is so annoying because you look at the set, and they tried to make it look like an actual place, even though it's clearly a fake set built in Romania. Like, look, it looks terrible. And the entire film is just a bunch of stupid nonsense that happens all... What?
Speaking of dumb prequels, I enjoy this prequel, but it's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's Tremors. So we got Tremors. All of them are basic sequels. They follow the story. It's fine. Tremors 4 is like, hey, so actually you need to know the story about what happened 100 years before the first film when the Graboids first emerged. We don't need to know that. The movie's fine, but it's like, it's this dumb Western. It's like, what are these prequels even... The prequels make the least money anyway.
That's true, yeah. No one really wants to see prequels that often unless they're like dedicated fans that like actually care about that. But like, I'd much rather see a continuation and expansion of the story. If you're gonna make a prequel, make it actually make sense within the context of the narrative, and also actually make it something that is a strong effort and would work within the context of how it's released. Okay, okay. That's the only way a prequel will work.
So I got a franchise that it's really bad. Lake Placid and Anaconda. First Lake Placid is fine. It is a fun movie with Betty White and crocodiles. Lake Placid 2 is horrible, but funny. Lake Placid 3 is atrocious, but funny. Lake Placid 4, the final chapter, is horrible, but it's funny. And then they decided to do Lake Placid versus Anaconda, which is horrible, but it's kind of funny. And then they did Lake Placid Legacy, which erases all the bad sequels. It's just a direct sequel to the first one because it's just that much of a classic. And it's awful. And then Anaconda 1, it's fine, it's funny. Ice Cube fights Snake, oh my god. And then, like, Anacondas 2, which went to theaters. It's fine, I guess. And then, like, Anaconda 3 and 4, with the third one starring David Hasselhoff, are horrible. The effects are absolutely atrocious. And the storyline is so dumb, because the whole thing's like, oh, I need to find immortality. This green snake will help me find it. The last 3 sequels are about finding immortality when it should just been snake eat human.
I will say, that is all ridiculous. I don't even want to try to unpack all of that. But I will say, Wrong Turn 6 may be the worst film I've ever seen. Like, legitimately.
That's not Solo. Talk about unnecessary prequel.
Not only is Wrong Turn 6 the worst of the Wrong Turn films, it's terrible. It's about cannibalism, incest, all these horrible concepts mixed together with poor acting and poor writing and music. The score is awful. It's either distracting or doesn't fit the theme at all. And throughout the film, you just see anything that's built up within the characters just completely destroyed. Like, at the end, like, I guess spoiler warning for Wrong Turn 6 Last Resort, but the character that, like, you trust throughout the whole thing, who, like, I guess is a part of this incestual family, he's just like, you know what, yeah, I actually agree with all this incest shit. I'm gonna kill my wife and just become an incestual cannibal with these people. Like, what? What was the point of the whole movie? What was the point? And not only that, but it doesn't even fit within the consistency of the other films. If you're going to make a horrible franchise, at least have them all fit together. If you're going to call it Wrong Turn 6, make it a Wrong Turn movie, not just a movie within the same concept. The only thing that fits is Three Finger, the little guy with the 3 fingers. Yeah, that cannibal, he's in all 6 of them for some reason. Thank God they left him out of the foundation. Thank God. God, I hate Wrong Turn 6.
I don't know, I think we should watch them. Just the sequels, though. Well, now that we talked about that, a good horror franchise, which is kind of horror but kind of not, is the Unbreakable trilogy.
We're not going to talk about that.
Would you consider Godzilla horror? Because that's the first one.
No, the original is, but...
I mean, the worst film in that franchise is definitely horror.
All Monsters Attack?
It's horror.
Horrible.
Yeah. How? I'm trying to think if there's any other franchises. Scream. What's the worst than that franchise?
Scream 3.
Yeah, even though all of them are pretty fine. Like none
Not
of them are,
Scream 3.
None of them are like absolutely like horrible.
No, but Scream 3 is bad. Like, it's... Scream 4 is actually, like, a pretty, like, okay, like, reboot.
Because each film's kind of like discussed, like it's like a rip on the film that they are.
Right.
Like the first one's on horror movies, second one's on like sequels,
the third one's horror trilogies.
Fourth one's reboots. I don't know what the fifth one's gonna be about. Reboots on reboots. I don't know.
But here's the thing about Scream 3. It is definitely the worst one. Not only just, like, as a film, because, like, throughout the film, it can just be strongly disliked for many reasons, but also, it's the worst, like, the twist at the end it's a horrible ghost face. A lot of the things make no sense, like the stupid...
Wasn't it just some random guy
It was, like, some guy that I guess was, like, her brother or something? Sydney's brother? Or, like... Not
cool.
Like, I don't know. I don't remember because it's so dumb.
Well, it was originally the end of the trilogy, so it should have been somebody that was actually like there through all three.
Right, and
they should have had it been Jamie Kennedy or something.
Right, that would have actually been cool, but no. And then also on top of that, like the stupid voice thing that can just completely change his voice into like any
That's
other
not
voice.
Realistic.
That is completely. At least in the original one, they just use the same voice every time on the voice recorder. That actually makes sense as a device, but like this isn't even within the realm of actual world possibility, which is what the Scream films have always done. And then not only that, but when they reveal the ghost face. The guy, the actor's been wearing glasses out the entire film. So when he reveals it, he's not wearing glasses, and you can't even recognize who he is at first. It's like, what is this supposed to be the big reveal? I don't know who that is. Who is that? Like, explain who you are. And then you realize it's the character that throughout the film everyone's like, oh, it's got to be that guy, and he's like, it's not me. Then they prove it's not him. He's like, okay, it's not me. And then later on, it's like, oh, it's me.
We forgot about the Ring series.
The what?
The Ring series.
Rings?
Well, there's The Ring, which is really good.
Well, Rings is the third one.
Yeah, and then The Ring 2, which is god-awful. And then Rings, also god-awful.
You know what you should really talk about? The Firefly franchise. 3 from Hell is terrible.
3 from Hell? Oh, is that the House of a Thousand Corpses?
House of a Thousand Corpses is a really weird cult classic, even though it's not like that good, but it's...
Yeah, I know, then there was The
Devil's Rejects.
Like, those two are, like, pretty... I have not seen them personally, but I know, like, they're... Some of, like, Rob Zombie's fans, like, really enjoy that one.
Yeah, the first...
And then he does 3 from Hell, which is, like, awful.
3 from Hell is awful, and it came out, like, so far after The Devil's Rejects, which makes no sense. And the guy who played Captain Spaulding, that actor, he only appears in the beginning of the film because he died. So, like, they just added in some weird random character to be the third from Hell, because there was 3 of them throughout all 3 films, but now he's just gone. Also, it completely retcons the end of The Devil's Rejects, where they get shot and died, because it was actually how their characters should have ended. It was a great ending to that film, and they just completely were like, nah, forget about that. And The Devil's Rejects is widely considered to be Rob Zombie's, like, best film overall. And House of a Thousand Corpses is, like, some weird, like, music video type horror movie stuff. I don't know. It's all weird. I don't know. It's not really a franchise, but The Descent 2 is terrible compared to the first one.
I've seen most of The Descent. I've not seen a second one because, like, there's no need for a sequel.
Yeah.
It pretty much wraps itself up.
Yeah.
It's like fucking open water. Like, why was there 2 more?
I was just watching Open Water yesterday.
Open Water is like a really good found footage little movie. It's fine. It's not like rewatchable or anything. And then for some reason, Open Water 2 isn't even about sharks. It's about like people that fall off a boat and forgot to put the ladder out. So it's like you guys are just fucking idiots. So I don't care.
And they're just stupid the whole film.
The only one that's up there is the baby. The baby. And then the third one's just it wasn't even planned to be open water film. It was just a great white shark cage movie that was like, hey, this is the third one.
Yeah, it's super ridiculous. Honestly, there's so many horror franchises out there. There's so many ridiculous ones. We talked about most of like the main ones.
Oh, that's one we forgot. Black Christmas.
I guess that's technically a franchise now
because like everybody loves the first one, and then
the first one is a classic, one of the best one of the
I need to watch slashers. It. Yeah. And then the first remake's like fine, I guess, but like as like a remake, it's horrible.
Yeah. And
then like the new one was just awful.
Yeah. It was so bad. All the ideals that they were trying to put forward and everything throughout it just makes no sense.
If it's as bad as a remake of the original, but even as its own thing, it's horrible.
Right. It's so bad. Like they tried to put forward all these ideas and like these messages into like.
If they just wanted to do like a remake that just kind of like followed the college sorority thing, that's fine. But like you didn't do that either.
Do it well, and like the plot is so like there's so many holes in the plot, and it's all like spongy going together, and it just overall is not cohesive, and then the ending makes no sense.
It's June.
And, God, I don't know.
Blumhouse is really bad sometimes. Oh,
Blumhouse does
Paranormal Activity.
Things. I don't want to talk about Paranormal Activity.
It's horrible. Besides the first one, maybe.
The first one's fine because what was their budget, like $6? Like, they did a good job with no money.
Blair Witch.
Is that a franchise?
There's 3 of them.
Is there really? I knew there was a sequel.
There was that first one, which like I actually like Blair Witch.
Yeah.
For what it is, and like the whole marketing campaign of that was genius.
Right.
The second one, that Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, I've not seen, but it's like a really bad. Right the year after they just put this thing together.
Right. I think it is terrible. I have seen that one.
And then the recent Blair Witch one, which was directed by the guy that did Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty bad from what I've heard. Like it had good atmosphere, but it was not good.
I didn't even know.
Especially how they tried to like wrap it into the first movie.
We can talk about the most important horror franchise ever, Children of the Corn.
Isn't there 10? Or 11?
There's
a new one.
One came out last year.
I think they're remaking it.
Yeah.
It's so dumb because it's just like a Stephen King short.
Yeah, it was a Stephen King short story.
It's not even that good of a story.
It's an okay story. And then the film loosely followed it, the original film. Then they were like...
Why was fucking Linda Hamilton in it?
25 sequels, please.
What did the sequels even do? Is it just different kids each movie?
Yeah, basically. Like they follow,
is it the same cornfield?
Sometimes some of the kids follow through, but other times they just completely change it. And like, there's so many for no reason. They made no money off of any of that. They're all like direct to DVD, except for the first one. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, we forgot about Hellraiser.
Oh dude, Hellraiser Revelation is awful. But then again, none of the Hellraiser movies are good to begin with. So.
Past I know the first 2 are considered pretty good, and then they did a third one, a fourth one, and then after that, none of the scripts were actual Hellraiser scripts. They were just random scripts Dimension had that they said, okay, let's just slap Hit Hand in this at the end so we can sell it.
Yeah.
And for some reason, one of them has fucking Superman in it, and fucking Lance Henriksen.
That franchise is a mess, an absolute mess.
And the last one came out a few years ago, and it was better, I guess, because it was originally a Hellraiser script, but it was still fucking awful. And I guess they're remaking it now, even though the first one's this Clive Barker original classic.
Also, Hellraiser Deader. What kind of title is Deader?
I don't know. It's direct to video. Everything past the fourth one was direct to video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many franchises.
That's why I'm so glad Halloween didn't go down that, because H2O was almost direct to DVD.
Yeah, which is insane to me.
Once you go direct to DVD, it's hard to get back to theaters.
Yeah.
Without a hard remake.
Right. That's the thing with the Children of the Corn franchise, because that movie came out last year and no one knew about it.
I heard about it from one article.
I don't even know if it was in any theaters or anything, because it was right in the middle of
COVID.
all of the pandemic and everything. So
did they film it during COVID?
I don't know.
People decide to go outside their house in the pandemic to film Corn 11.
It's an official film with no info anywhere. I've looked around and I can't find anything on it. I don't. And I've seen every Children of the Corn, so I want to watch it as the completionist that I am. But they're all bad, so I don't know why I want to do it.
Yeah, but that's probably about it.
We get passionate with horror films. I do, at least.
We'll get more into each individual franchise
Yeah.
if, like, a new installment comes out or whatnot. Definitely Halloween this year.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about Halloween later on in the year and the things we love and don't love about it. But this
Oh,
is...
yeah, we forgot about The Thing.
Well, that's only...
3 movies.
Well, I guess The Thing from Another World technically was based off of a...
book.
Well, the book, Who Goes There? What's it called?
Something like that, yeah.
Who Goes There, but then that becomes The Thing from Another World, which heavily inspired John Carpenter's remake of it in 1982, one of the greatest films ever made, my personal favorite film ever made.
And then the prequel reboot kind
and
of
then
thing.
The prequel, which
fine.
is cool within the context because it shows how everything got set up, and it adheres a lot.
The coolest
to the
part
original.
is that, like, every single thing that happens at the end of the film, like, it leaves the station in the way that they find it.
Right, which I think is actually really cool, but the film itself is not.
The effects are horrible.
Yeah.
Which is, like, the one thing that movie needed to get right.
Right, the effects look terrible, and
Above all else, these studios just suck.
It doesn't feel like the same thing that The Thing was in 1982 because it was such a classic, and it's just
These studios are
frustrating because I love the original. But all the
I think that sucks.
studios...
That this whole thing is just studios.
Yeah.
Like, I doubt anybody was really clamoring to make Jaws 4. The studio was.
I doubt anybody wanted to make a 10th Hellraiser or a 12th Children of the Corn, or they were trying to make any of this stuff.
The studio is probably forcing 10 Saw movies.
Right.
I doubt that, the people that made the first, like, 2 Saws were like, okay, this is planning out for 10.
Right. Which
Or Lake Placid 7.
I think it's all ridiculous. Studios, it's a rough business overall. I know that for sure.
Just do what Halloween 2018 did, but don't just copy it.
And the horror franchise is like...
Its whole thing.
The horror franchise. The genre of horror is my personal favorite, but there is so much crap out there and so many franchises that
Did
just
you
go on
know
way
that they
too
were
long.
going to make Michael Myers versus Pinhead after Freddy versus Jason? It was close to being made. And apparently John Carpenter liked the script.
I don't want to live in this world anymore.
It's just going to be called Michael versus Pinhead. And apparently, I think at the end, Pinhead was going to send Michael to hell. So it's just been like, Jason goes to hell.
With that, I'm going to have to wrap up this episode. Because I need to process that. That's going to take me a while. I guess we could have talked about George Romero's Dead franchise, which the worst one is clearly Survival of the Dead.
Yeah, I think that franchise went on for a long time. Doesn't George Romero did all of them, though?
Yeah, he did do all of them.
Until he passed away.
Basically, I'll really quickly explain it. So, he and this Russo, I forget his first name, but they together, they were arguing over who overall had the rights to Night of the Living Dead and like if there was going to be a franchise, even though clearly Romero should have. But what they agreed on was Romero was going to make his own films that were the Dead films, and Russo would get the Living Dead. Then he could make his own films. So then he ended up going on to make The Return of the Living Dead, which ended up becoming 5 films, which is ridiculous. But then Romero made Dawn of the Dead, one of the greatest films ever. Just such a fantastic horror film. And then, of course, Day of the Dead, which is heavily underrated. A lot of people don't like it because it's not Dawn of the Dead again, even though it's its own thing and it does its own thing well. Which eventually Romero would return to do, I think, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, and Survival of the Dead. I don't know if that's quite the right order, but I'm pretty sure that's right. And none of them are really that good. All those like that Return trilogy. And yeah, but that's what I have to say about that. I love the original Romero Dead films. I absolutely adore them. Actually, they're some of my favorites. I love the zombie genre altogether. So yeah. But yeah, there we go. That's pretty much it.
Just one more thing. I'm just kidding. Star Wars.
It's not horror. And
Some
if
of
we
them...
talk about one more horror franchise that makes me angry, I'm gonna pop a blood vessel and faint.
So the Shining miniseries. But yeah, that's probably about it. What are we talking about next week?
Loki.
Is it Loki?
Yeah.
If we end up both getting to see like maybe The Quiet Place Part 2 or Conjuring 3, we'll probably talk about that too. But I don't know for sure.
Yeah, so. I don't know if we'll have time, but if we do, I mean,
I am free tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, so probably won't. Maybe this weekend.
I would love to watch A Quiet Place Part 2 though and talk about it, especially be able to talk about the first one as well, because that'd be a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen first 2 Conjurings. We didn't even get into that franchise.
That's a lot of complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should not be a franchise.
No, it shouldn't. The first one's fine.
First 2 Conjurings,
yeah.
good. But
But anyways, thank you for tuning in.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed the ramblings and the nonsense, but I'm very passionate about horror films, so it's just kind of me going off. So.
Same. I mean, next week we'll be a lot less angry because
Right.
Loki's definitely gonna be good. I think.
I'm definitely excited to see what the premiere of Loki is like. So
Yeah.
But that'll wrap up this week's episode of AmityCast.
Yeah. Have a good one.
See you next time.